Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we are with Calvin. He is from England
Yes.
and well, he will be talking about life experience and uh, thank you one more time for joining us. Um, how old are you, Calvin?
I'm.
Sorry, hello.
Hello. No, it's
Eh,
okay. I'm 29.
29.
For another 2 weeks, and then I turn 30. So
Ooh.
yeah, not long.
How was your childhood?
Yeah, it's such a big question, but yeah, I had a pretty good childhood. I grew up in Bradford, West Yorkshire, which is not far from here. Lived with my parents. I'm an only child. Um, and yeah, had a pretty good upbringing. Um, Obviously, being an only child has its benefits, and
You were the
its
only
draw.
one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, as it obviously has its benefits and drawbacks, but the main things I can think of was like I was never short of anything as a kid. So birthdays, Christmases, things like that. I was always quite spoiled, and we went on a lot of holidays. So my my dad's a French teacher, so we went to France quite a lot. Uh, Obviously, that being being fluent in French, it was quite easy. And both my parents loved France, so we went there quite a lot as a kid, and also went to America a few times, and Ireland, and a few other places to name a few. So yeah, um, pretty.
What did you learn from that stage?
Um, I don't know if I learned anything from that experience. I think what I will say is that the other side of it as being an only child is that it's the the sort of social aspect of things can maybe quite difficult, quite a hindrance, not having any brothers and sisters, and a lot of times when we went away, it was I was on my own, so not interacting with other kids my own age, with my parents a lot of the time, or other adults. So I think I was sort of maturing quite quickly as a kid. But yeah, I remember as well, sort of primary school, I started a little bit later because I'd fractured my skull when I think just before we started reception.
Mm-hmm.
So I started a few weeks later. So I don't know if that had an impact on like friendship groups being established or things like that. So struggled to make friends a little bit to start with, and was bullied a little bit at school for. It was really weird. I was thinking about this before you came, and I remember being bullied for being overweight. But looking back, I don't think I was overweight at all. So I think it's just that general teasing when you're younger. But it's stuff like that wouldn't really happen as much nowadays. Like we don't hear of things like this at our kids' school. But yeah, anyway, I think what that taught me was, or what what I learned in my childhood at school was that it's okay to be different. Um, I wasn't particularly bright or particularly sort of clever at anything. I did really enjoy music, so I took up the guitar when I was 7, and I practiced all the time, every day, like hours and hours on end, which I think so like another antisocial thing, um, but yeah, I got really good at it. But yeah, I think that period of time, I think what I learned more than anything, and what my mum sort of encouraged as well from me, that it's okay to be different and do things a little bit differently. You don't have to follow a trend or follow the crowd essentially. Um, but yeah, I think that was
How was your adolescence?
my adolescence. I think thinking about what I've just spoken about really with the it's okay to be different, I think I lent into that maybe a little bit too much, and it was coming across as like maybe attention seeking a little bit, and like kids thought I was just trying to be different for the sake of it. So I remember there was a lot of teasing in my younger sort of stage of my adolescence for that reason. But became quite resilient through that again. And yeah, my adolescence generally was okay. I wasn't particularly academically gifted. I was definitely more interested in girls and drinking and other things that probably shouldn't go into, but yeah.
It's okay.
No, so yeah, I think because I was a bit lazy at school, didn't really try, wasn't interested in any other subject apart from music. That's not true actually. I was interested in like art and maths as well, funnily enough.
But sorry, do you have the same issues in your adolescence, in your school, with being bullied?
Yeah, a little bit. For different reasons, I think. I think a lot of it was that I was just okay being different. I was okay just standing out. But I think a lot of kids just thought that I was just being an attention seeker or being purposely trying to be different. So maybe made fun of me because of that. But that was okay. I mean, it's a tough. It's tough. Your adolescence anyway, and particularly at like at school, it's a tough time, and everybody's going through all sorts. So yeah, I think it's bound to happen. Isn't it? It's a tough environment to.
What did you learn from that stage? If you now look back and say, "Oh, I learned this."
Yeah, I think the grit and determination, just to carry on, just to get on with things. I can't obviously go back and change anything now. So I think yeah, that's the main thing, because I didn't do particularly well in my A levels, and that has obviously impacted my career opportunities. But I think that's something I've just had to accept, and I've gone back to studying now with Open University, and I'm doing other things that will hopefully benefit me in the future in terms of a career. But yeah, I think just to answer your question,
Okay.
I think yeah, just having that grit and that sort of determination to carry on.
Do you think in those years you were prepared to know what to do in the life, or what to propose, or what?
Yeah. It's interesting because I look at my peers and friends that I went to school with that I do keep in touch with, some friends that I don't keep in touch with anymore, and I think although I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. I wanted to do something to do with music, but then I didn't have the drive at the time to strive for anything. I think as soon as anything became too difficult for me, I was like, oh no, I can't do this. It's too hard, and it was quite a lazy attitude. But then yeah, looking at my friends, my peers, who did have a vision of what they wanted to do, I'd say that every single one of them they don't do what they said they were going to do, at that time. So one of my closest friends wanted to be a doctor, and now he works for the job centre. I had another friend who two friends that went to study maths at degree level, and although they do something to do with that now, as soon as they left university, they went on to do something completely different. So I don't think anybody has really any idea what they're going to do at that point. Apart from my wife, actually, who always who knew which is inspiring. She knew from a very young age what she wanted to do with her life, and she's doing it now, and she loves it. And she's one of the only people that I know of that
we
has
need to
done
remember
that.
everyone will have different paths.
Exactly, of course.
How was your relationship with your parents?
Mostly good. I got on really well with my dad. But I'll just point out both my parents are still alive. So yeah. But yeah, sorry. Got on really well with my dad in my childhood, my adolescence. My mum, we're both very strong personalities, both very similar to each other. So we do clash quite a lot, even now. But I still love her to bits. So yeah, I do have a good relationship with both of them. Yeah.
What did you learn from your mom?
From my mum, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is to own up to your mistakes, but also admit when you're wrong.
Admit when you are wrong.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think you can own up to if you're having a disagreement or if you think that something's not quite right, but then you realise actually this person's right. I think you need to own up to that, and I think that's something that she's taught me. But then also if you do strongly believe something to be the way that you believe it, you should really be strong with that.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn from your father?
It's a similar answer, but it's kind of got a bit of a twist to it, I suppose. Diplomacy. So to be diplomatic in certain situations, because I think if you like with what I've said about what I learned from my mum, I think that can sometimes be come across as quite argumentative or can be a bit of conflict. So I think in the right moments to be diplomatic is what I learned from my dad. And to also be quiet in the right moments, if that makes sense.
Yes, makes sense. Lots of sense, yeah. When I ask what did you learn from people, well, in this case from your parents, is sometimes negative stuff can teach you, to don't do that, or but usually we learn both. And you choose, to change that.
Of course. Mm-hmm. And I think both of what I've said can have the negative effects as well, mm-hmm. Because I think with what I've learned from my dad or what I said I've learned from my dad, I think being diplomatic or sort of playing devil's advocate can just maybe look like you're being a bit of a fence sitter and you're not really, don't really have a strong opinion, or
make you feel weak. Like,
yeah,
in
exactly.
struggling.
Whereas, and then with what I learned from my mum, or what I said, like I said earlier, it can come across as quite, like wanting to cause conflict or wanting to be argumentative for the sake of it. So yeah, it can definitely have its benefits and drawbacks.
What do you think women contribute to the society?
Women,
Sorry.
everything. Wow, it's a big question, isn't it? I think. Wow, it's hard to put that into words, really.
What do you think they do to help the society to come?
I think it's a hard question. I suppose when I think about my wife, I think about my mum. So I think those aspects, I don't know how to answer the question. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
What do they contribute? I suppose they contribute just as much as men do, or in the same way that men do, or certainly have the same outcome. So obviously it's different being a woman than it is to being a man, and I don't know what it's like, obviously. So yeah, I definitely think women are important as parents for their children. It's so important for my two daughters, for example, to have their mum present in their life. I think she's very inspiring to them. And then as a life partner as well, or as my wife, I think women play an important role as that. And then yeah, from society, obviously they contribute in so many ways. There's a lot of jobs out there that I think there's obviously a perspective that women can't do the jobs that men can do, or there's definitely statements like that get thrown around a lot. But I think there's also a lot of jobs that men aren't willing to do that women are willing to do. So I don't know what the statistics are or whatever, but I know that women do a lot more unpaid work. There's obviously, well, it's not obvious, but there's women in a lot more sort of healthcare or care professions than there are men. And I think from my perspective or my understanding is that women have they're a lot more kind-natured, a lot more caring. So I think that
caring and kind nature.
Yes. So it plays that plays an important role in society.
And what do you think a man contribute to the society?
It's interesting because I think if I were to say something like, oh well, men do a lot more, physical labour. I'm coming across as quite don't want to come across as sexist or anything, but yeah, I think I certainly think from that aspect, maybe see a lot more male tradespeople doing a lot more physical jobs, and then just going back to the sort of parental aspect. I do think it's important for men to be in their children's lives, as I suppose that is a contribution to society in itself. They need their dad as much as they need their mum.
Yes. Do you have children?
Yes. Two young girls.
Lovely ones. What do you think a child needs from their parents, from the society, from?
I think there's obviously the basic needs, food, water, clothing, a roof over their head. I think that's absolutely necessary. What I think a child needs, to be cared, to be cared for, to be loved, to be understood, to listen to be challenged.
They love that, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I think clarity, so clear messages, clear boundaries, and consistency. Whether that's from a sort of discipline point of view or a routine point of view. I think consistency is quite a big one for me. To sort of follow through, to say what you mean, and follow through with that, and then also like from a routine perspective, to not be sort of all over the place with sort of timings and things like that, because I think that can throw them off massively. But yeah, those are a few things that I think a child needs.
When do you have hard times? What do you do?
I go for a run usually.
Running.
I do a lot of running, which I think helps me mentally. But I think I like to sort of be on my own in those moments, when I'm going through difficult things, because I don't want to project any of that onto other people, which doesn't always help, because then you're just sort of internalizing things and probably making things worse. And then when you do finally talk about these things, it can be quite a lot and can be sometimes quite aggressive or quite emotional. So yeah.
So running is
definitely running's key for my difficult periods. I think it just helps me massively. I also like to just sort of take moments to myself where I can sort of unpack everything, and then communication, whether it's with a friend or my wife or even my kids,
Oh, they are clever.
yeah, they're cleverer than we think. I think we need to give them more credit for that. But yeah.
What is your passion in this life? Your passion in this life?
I think I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because I'm at a stage, I'm obviously touching 30 now, which is going into the next decade. And
it's all right.
No, I know.
Right.
I know it'll be okay. Everybody says this is going to be great, and I do. I think it's a privilege to age, so I'm not worried at all about turning 30. But it's obviously an opportunity for me to reflect on what I want to do with my life, because I was very career driven in my early 20s, and then when my kids came along, I didn't want anything to do with my work. I just wanted to be with my kids. So I stepped down quite a lot and went and got a job that was that sort of fit around them, so I could see them a lot more. but now that my eldest is getting a bit older, I feel like there's an opportunity now for me to try and figure out what I want to do. I think my passion currently is running, which we spoke about in the last question. So I'm looking at ways that I can sort of use that essentially. Mm-hmm. So 2 things I'm looking at is becoming a coach, like a fitness, running, wellness type coach, both on an individual and a group basis. And I'm looking at starting a running club at some point, like a wellness type club, sort of get people into running. But I think, to further answer your question, I think my passion is to inspire, my kids, inspire my family, and inspire my friends, and then hopefully one day inspire a wider circle of people. So yeah.
To go out and run.
Yeah, or do anything. Do something that challenges them, that excites them, and yeah, that pushes them out of their comfort zone.
The comfort zone, yeah, that's important. What does love mean to you?
Does love mean to me? I think it's an unconditional feeling that doesn't need any reciprocation. We don't always ask for it in return, whether that's with a friend or family member or a partner. I think love can be, it's something that you just give without ever expecting anything back. Do you want me to carry on, or
no? If you,
I think
okay.
that's my I think that's my answer.
Okay. What does fear mean to you?
Fear. I think it's about it's maybe being out of your comfort zone, maybe being put in a situation that you don't like or you're uncomfortable with, the unknown, not knowing what's around the corner. I think that's what fear means to me, maybe, but that can maybe be quite exciting at the same time. I suppose that's my main things.
If you have the power to change something in the world, what would it be?
Power to change anything?
Something, or yeah.
Wow. Power to change anything in the world, what would it be? I suppose the way that I think the way that we see others and that we see ourselves, I think the world can be quite a negative place, and quite judgmental, and I think it'd be great if we could all be a lot kinder and a lot more positive. I think a lot of good could come from that, if we were just a bit more careful about the way we choose our words with each other, and we were a bit kinder, and we were a lot less negative. I suppose that the media and social media has a huge part to play in that, because of how it creates such a negative space for people, and we sort of feed off that all the time. So yeah, I think.
What age do you think will you give your daughters
Phones.
a phone, for
I'm-
example, or let them
It's
be
difficult.
in?
I think I won't know that answer until, for definite, until it comes around. Ideally, I would like them to be a teenager until they have a phone, like a smartphone. When I was a kid, I didn't get. I had a Nokia brick phone when I was like 10, and that's only because I was.
Just for calling and
Calling and texting. But that was mainly because I was travelling to middle school on my own sometimes, getting picked up by other kids' parents and things like that. So it was mainly just for contacting my mum and dad. And then Facebook and all those kind of things came along when I was, well, it became really popular when I was 13. And we had other things like MSN Messenger and other things like that when I was 11, 12. But I think because social media has changed so much, and not necessarily for the better, I think if I can hold on as late as possible for my kids to get
into the.
Yeah,
I understand.
then that'd be great. But yeah.
Please, could you mention 3 things that you are grateful for?
Okay. I'm grateful for my kids. Probably more than anything. The greatest thing that I could have ever asked for. Very grateful for them. And I'm grateful for my wife. Would be the second thing. We've been through a lot together. We've been together for like over 12 years now. Only married for 2 years, but I'm very grateful for her. She's amazing, and she understands me better than anyone. So I'm very grateful for her. And I think the third thing would be my life, or life in general. For all that it's had its ups and downs, I'm grateful that I can be here. The chances of me being here, us being here, are so unbelievably small that it's crazy when you think about it. So yeah, the third one would definitely be grateful for my life in general.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Calvin. It was a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Hope you enjoyed this interview, and take please whatever you need from this, and please carry on, and see you hopefully in the next interview. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.